We are on breaking news again this morning. We're bringing you live updates at the top of every hour on CBSN Denver. A wildfire still tearing through Boulder County. New video from this morning shows the devastation. The fire began just after 11 yesterday morning. High winds spread it rapidly. At least 500 homes have been damaged, many burned to rubble. 6,000 acres have burned in just the past 24 hours. Boulder County Sheriff's Office says the preliminary cause is downed power lines. This morning, Governor Joe Pelle took to the skies in a helicopter to survey some of the damage done, and we could see what he could see through his window. Homes burned, trees and grass blackened, and smoke still curling up from some hot spots in that area. And while it is certainly good news that snow is falling and the winds have died down significantly, there is sweeping devastation. This area has a long road ahead of it. Copter 4 is flying over the damage right now. We're taking a live look from Copter 4. A bit hard to see. The visibility is a bit hard. This could be from the smoke from the fires coupled with that winter storm moving into that area. But just taking a look at this aerial view, you can see that, some of the subdivisions were untouched, and then some of them just completely devastated and gone. There is good news this morning, though. We talked about that winter storm coming in. Snow has already started falling in the fire area. This video comes from north of Longmont on Highway 287, and it is a welcome weather reprieve from what has been a very tough situation. High winds, sometimes over 100-mile-per-hour gusts. They grew and they spread this fire very quickly and sporadically yesterday. So snow is definitely something we want to see. We want to check in with our reporters who have been surveying some of this damage from the ground. Makenzie O'Keefe and Conor McCue both joining us live this morning from Louisville, where the damage is extensive. Let's start with Conor. And you've seen damage all morning long.
Yeah, Michelle. Well, first off, I want to start with the good news. We are still seeing some light snow here in the area, so that's something that our meteorologists were first to tell you about, and we've been hoping to see more and more. The bad news, though, is it is too little too late for a number of homes here in Louisville. We're right off via Appia Way next to the Louisville Rec Center. We have a nice view right over some of the subdivisions here. We'll show you just right past here. That is Mulberry here in Louisville. You can see just up against this green space where there's just a line of single-family homes that have just been reduced to rubble. People in this area say they saw just a glow yesterday when this first started to come, and they just saw the fire continue to move through, and you can see just a number of these homes all across the street just reduced to ashes. And that's, as the governor said in his press conference earlier, those are not just homes, or those are not just houses, those are homes. That's where memories are made. That's where personal belongings are. So an incredibly heartbreaking scene to see just this line of ash and destruction here from this fire. Also, quite incredible to see, if you can see it in the grass there, some of the different burn patterns. The fire officials just told us how it was just very sporadic, almost mosaic-like, and you can really see it, how some areas are burned, some areas are not. That's all because of those incredible winds we saw yesterday. One other thing we are seeing here, and you can see a lot of it right over here, is how many people are coming to try and get a look at their homes, at their friends' homes, try to do some checks on the places that they know and love. The sheriff here in the most recent press conference said that's something they would not advise. They want everyone to be safe right now.
I know residents want to get back to their homes as soon as possible to assess damage. In many of those neighborhoods that are currently blocked off, it's still too dangerous to return. We saw still active fire in many places this morning, and we saw down power lines. We saw a lot of risk that we're still trying to mitigate.
Now, again, we just showed you some of the damage over here off Mulberry, but we will show you over here. This is more off Pine. We're seeing a lot less on this side, at least from our vantage point. We've seen a little bits of smoke here and there. We've seen a fire engine or two going through this neighborhood. We do know that earlier in our morning hits for CBS this morning, we were right over on the other side of Pine, and we did show you where there was some active firefighting happening. But from this vantage point, up against this green space here near the Louisville Rec Center, not as much as we can see. Michelle?
All right, Conor, thank you so much. And right now we want to take another look from Copter 4. This is a live look from overhead, and you can see some of that damage that Conor was just talking about in some of these neighborhoods. Schools, the sheriff said earlier in that news conference that so far the schools have been untouched, which is great. But then just right next door, you have neighborhoods like this, subdivisions that are just completely decimated. I mean, look at this. These homes that once stood there are just nothing but rubble. You can't even see the frames of these homes, and all of those trees just charred. And this is what we're seeing. This is what those high winds, over 100-mile-per-hour winds, did yesterday. They spread those flames very quickly and sporadically. You could see a cul-de-sac there that just has no home in that cul-de-sac. Just devastating images that we've been seeing. Of course, anyone with any fire information is being urged to call the Information Call Center. We're going to give you that number. It's 303-413-7730. And they're urging anyone with this information. Conor did say earlier that the Boulder County Sheriff said it's looking like the cause of this is from downed power lines because of those winds. It hasn't been completely confirmed yet, but that's what he's saying could happen. We're seeing a lot of hot spots in that area. And just a reminder, people who are curious about their homes and if it still stands, they're being asked to keep out of this area because they want to keep everyone safe. They're still dealing with these hot spots. As you can see, that smoke kind of smoldering up from some of the rubble and also down power lines in that area. We want to turn it over to Makenzie O'Keefe right now. And Makenzie, I mean, just looking at the video of this damage and what's behind you, it's incredible.
It is, and now that we're getting later into the morning, Michelle, we're starting to see more of the pain and the emotion of these residents who are coming out here to check on their homes. Here behind me, we're off of Pine and Owl. This is an area where there's townhomes that you can see used to sit there. A lot of people, despite the sheriff's warnings, out here this morning, taking a look at the damage, trying to see what they can find. We've watched several different families dig through some of this debris out here and grab things and take things home, including a bed frame, it appeared at one point, and other things that they can take out of this fire as memories from what once stood there in their homes. This is one scene where we've been this morning. We've also been to other scenes. We first started off our morning off of St. Andrew and Dillon Road. That's where we saw homes that were just completely destroyed, home after home after home, with hot spots there. And it really showed the chaos. We saw fire hoses that were just left scattered throughout that road. As you can see, the fire just moved so quickly. And even in this neighborhood here, we're just seeing how the fire just got to certain areas and certain buildings, and not all of them. You can still see some here still standing around this, but again, the emotion and the pain that people here are starting to show up and find out what happened to their homes is just devastating, Michelle.
Yeah, so many people had to evacuate, not knowing what they were going to come home to. And as you said, devastating to learn that their house is gone. All right, Makenzie, thank you so much. The amazing thing in all of this, so far, no deaths have been reported. We have heard of one injury to a first responder, and it is said to be a minor injury, blowing debris in that officer's eye. And of course, as the damage is surveyed and first responders investigate the affected areas, that could all change. We actually spoke to the mayor of Superior on CBS 4 this morning. Are you hearing of any casualties in Superior due to this fire?
I've not heard of any, but that's going to be part of the assessment here in the next days and weeks as we start to take inventory of the properties lost, and residents will be checking in with other residents to see if everybody's accounted for. We will have to go through an exhaustive process to check in on everyone.
Damage assessment, of course, will continue throughout the day and probably in the next few days. The mayor of Superior also is telling us earlier that 2 of his family members have lost their homes. Now, in Louisville, the damage is extensive as well. We spoke to some people who live in an area where some homes were burned to the ground, but some were left all but untouched. And it is heartbreaking for them to see, but there is still some hope that all may not be lost.
I have a hope that my photographs are still there. But I'm not sure that I'll be able to live there for a while. Haven't been able to get too close. It's still closed off.
We're just really sad. We're really happy that our house and my brother's house are standing, but it's incredibly sad.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We're happy that our house is okay, but yeah, just not everybody else in our community, which is tough.
Right now, US 36 is still closed in both directions between Interlochen Loop to Wadsworth. There is no estimated time for reopening. Colorado 170 is also closed in both directions from Boulder to Superior. Now, due to the fires, the city of Louisville has issued a boil water advisory. The town of Superior also under a boil water advisory now. Officials say you can protect yourself by using bottled water or boiling any water to be used for drinking, making ice, brushing teeth, washing dishes, and food preparation until further notice. Emergency personnel are using available water to extinguish the fires, and they're asking residents to conserve water when possible.